Welcome to Link by Golf. I'm your host Ross McGuire, and this is a show that connects the journeys of people to the great game of golf that we love. Quick shout out before we dive in. A huge thanks to TrueLinkswear for the support of the show. Check them out at truelinkswear.uk for shoes that will truly help you enjoy the walk. Today I'm joined by Colin Gray, founder of Alitu and the podcasthost.com. Colin's not only a passionate golfer playing out of Inverness Golf Club, but he's also spent years helping thousands of people share their stories through podcasting. We dive into his golfing background, the unexpected parallels between golf and podcasting, and how community and creativity play a role in both worlds. And don't forget, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you hit follow so you never miss an episode. Let's go over to Colin. In this week's episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Colin Gray. Colin, how are you doing? Thanks for joining.
Not too bad. It's not too bad, Ross. Yeah, thanks for having me.
And did you ever think you'd end up on a golf podcast, Colin?
Oh, I hoped and dreamed. But today's the day.
Absolutely. And we'll jump straight in, Colin. I've moved the podcast around a little bit in terms of content, but we'll go straight into your golfing history. How did you get into the game?
Oh, my golfing history goes back to basically age zero. Funnily enough, it's all about my dad. Actually, my dad was a greenkeeper. He got into greenkeeping as a young man. He played golf as an even younger man, but got into it as an industry too. So he was mowing the greens on Gatehouse Golf Club down in the southwest of Scotland back in his very early days, and what would it be, the 60s or so. I was actually born in the south of Scotland, but my dad got a job in Fort William Golf Club, right? Wow. Just around the time I was born. So we moved to Fort William, with me as a near 0-year-old kid, to live basically right next to the golf course up there, and for him to work there. So yeah, it's kind of links go very, very far back.
So beyond that, what's your early golf memories in terms of starting to play?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously he was nuts about the game, so he got me and my brother into it very early. So I do remember being out there in the back garden. We've got photos of me and my brother playing with those little plastic clubs at the age of 2, and then I do have memories of, he took us along to lessons with the professional when we were living in Prestwick in the west coast of Scotland. So I remember learning with a pro back when I was sort of 8, 9, 10-ish, and I suppose my fondest memories of it in those early days where it was a thing that me and our group of friends did, actually. So we would get on the train in Prestwick out to Troon. Troon has a great, I don't know if you've been there, Ross. Have you played in Troon at all?
I've played Lochgreen and Darley, but never on the championship course, yeah.
No, I'm talking about those two, actually. Fullerton, Lochgreen and Darley. They're the municipal courses in Troon, and that was the ones. We would go out. We'd play Fullerton more often than not. That was the kind of junior-friendly one. So we'd get the train up, we'd get off the train, and the golf course, the first tee is basically 10 metres from the train station. So you'd get off the train, get on the course, and just play around, and then head back home again. So that was a really common weekend activity for me, and there was 5 of us all played, head out there every weekend, or during the summer holidays, head out there all the time.
Brilliant. And how did your golf progress? So did you start to play competitions when you were younger as well?
Yeah, we played a lot, actually, because my dad was so deep in the community. Especially around Ayrshire. That was kind of where I grew up, obviously, but he was from the southwest of Scotland, so Gatehouse was a big one. We went and played the Cali Cup at Gatehouse, was the kind of famous competition they play down there. Kirkcudbright Golf Club, all of those places, they always had their opens once a year, and we'd go and play all of those just because my dad knew all of the folk that would play in them. And me and my brother were convinced to go along at the same time. So we'd go out and play the kind of junior version of them. And as we got older, into the grown-up versions, of course. But yeah, so we played all around the country, actually. I got the chance to. It kind of, when I look back at it now, it almost seems quite we did a lot. We played a lot of different places, a lot of different courses. And I just kind of took it for granted because it was part of our family. My dad was so into it. It was just part of what he did. And therefore, it was just kind of what me and my brother did as well. So it was kind of strange that way. It was just part of life.
Fantastic. And we'll jump straight into the golf, Colin, but we've got a connection through you are the CEO and owner of Alitu and the podcasting host. So I'd love to hear more about your background. How did Colin come to get into these things before even creating the companies? What's your background in education, etc.?
Yeah, I went to uni to study astrophysics, which sounded exciting to me at the time, sounds exciting to other people often, the science of space and all that. But do you know what? When it turns out when you get like 3 years deep, it's just pages and pages of maths, and I completely lost interest, and barely graduated, and ended up just working in the bar scene for like 4 or 5 years. So I just worked in bars full time through my kind of early 20s. But I was always quite a kind of nerdy kid alongside the golf. I did a lot of computer game design, coding, all that kind of stuff. I love to make games, played a lot of games too. And so ended up taking a degree on multimedia and interactive systems, it was called. But it boiled down to like web design, animation, video creation, that kind of stuff. And so I ended up doing that freelance for quite a few years, like just making websites for
Okay.
people, doing drawings, cartoons for people, that kind of stuff. And then got into teaching, and I taught that at a university in Edinburgh for a little while. So that was kind of how I got into education. But that path then took me to teaching lecturers how to use all those technologies to teach. So it was actually teaching them how to use blogging, podcasting, video as a teaching aid for other students. And that was what got me into podcasting, really. It was helping lecturers do those kind of multimedia type teaching interventions and podcasting in particular, just audio. And so I just started what we do nowadays pretty much as a hobby. I just started writing about how to run a podcast, good microphones, good growth tactics, how to do interviews, all of that kind of stuff. And that website, that hobby website that I kind of did on evening and weekends, just grew up through the 2010s, like 2010 to 2020, well, 15 really. 2010 to 2015, it grew like a lot of traffic. And then in 2015, I turned it into business. It was just something that I was enjoying so much and got so much attention that I thought I need to have a go at this. So yeah, that was kind of where the transition came.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about the very early days of podcasting, of course, after the iPhone. So, what was it like back at the start?
Oh, brutal, honestly. you'd have like, you'd have, do you remember these things, a wee MP3 player in the form of a USB stick? Did you ever have one of those
Absolutely, yeah,
things?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'd plug it into your computer. It acts like a USB stick. You copy some files over onto it, take it out, and you can plug a set of headphones into it, chuck it in your pocket, and you can listen. And that was what podcasting was like. It was you had to actually open up iTunes on your computer. You had to subscribe to a few shows there, but then you had to manually manage the episodes, like delete the ones you
Wow.
just listened to, copy over the ones you want to listen to next. There was no tracking on what you had listened to, what you had, and how far through episodes you were, all that kind of stuff. So it was hard work. It was only for the really dedicated listener. So yeah, it was hard going in the early days. When did you get into it, Ross? What was your first show?
I listened to a golf podcast in 2020 during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never, although I've been in high tech jobs for like 25 years and used Apple devices and even coded on them, I didn't get into podcasting at all until that time. I just wasn't something that grabbed me. Then I started listening to, of course, golf podcasts and other podcasts and really found them very engaging. I was kind of done with listening to radio. There's certain radio stations I would listen to back home in Scotland because I live in England now. And then I've got no real access to them down here. So that actually kind of transformed how I would listen to things. And it got me back into listening to Scottish content as well. I'd sort of missed out on that for a lot of years. So yeah, 2020, believe it or not.
What's your tip on a couple of golf podcasts? Because I've actually not found a good one yet. I've not gone through many, but what are you listening to? What do you enjoy?
I listened to Scottish One, Top Golf Scotland. I listened to every week. That was one of the first ones I listened to with Stuart Whiteford, Peter Whiteford. Stuart set it up, I think, about 7 years ago. But even before that, before it was the podcasting side, I'd listened to Alan Tate. He was on the BBC. He did the Scottish Golf Radio Show for a long time, which I think essentially was a podcast, although it went out on the radio as well. And in other shows that I really like today, a guy called Mark Immelman. I've had him on as a guest. He's fantastic. And I listened to another American podcast called Subpar with a guy called Colt Knost and Drew Stokes. They are pretty hilarious. Although, no offence to them, but I do skip through a lot of the American football chat and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But their golf content's fantastic. They get brilliant guests and they've got a really engaging way of talking about it. And they have a bit of fun, and it's not complete locker room stuff. It is actually really good fun that most people can listen to. So those are
Yeah.
the ones that I'm into.
Nice. Sorry, what was the name of that last one, the American one? Just out of interest.
Golf subpar.
Okay, yeah. I'll look
Yeah,
all of those up. They sound good. Yeah, cool. Thanks for the tip.
yeah, absolutely. So then, in terms of the business, Colin, how did that take off? You mentioned that you set it up, but what were the early days like there?
Yeah, the kind of first few, like we got really kind of right time, right place between 2010 and 2015. Like I said, the traffic grew really nicely. We started to grow a bit of revenue through. We did a lot of referral stuff. Really works quite nicely in golf, the golf industry too. Actually, so it was like reviewing gear essentially. Like you review a
Right.
club or you review a bag or whatever, and you can refer to the shops, and then they give you a commission on it. Same with podcasting. We review a microphone, a bit of software, and we got commissions through that.
Right.
So we developed a good reputation of like giving good, honest reviews, and people would buy stuff through our trusted sort of site. So that was the early days of it. Grew a good bit of revenue through that. And I took on Matthew. You mentioned like we do our podcast together. That was kind of one of our earliest shows as well. He and I worked on that content through those first few years from 2015 through to 18 or so. And through those years, we started doing more coaching, more consulting. These days, we run an academy, which is all of our courses and resources and templates, but also a big range of coaching interventions, we call them. Like we've got feedback tools, we've got ways to get people help on their titles, basically anything that can help them grow their show. So that's all quite good fun. And then yeah, Alitu, like you mentioned too, that was an interesting experience developing a software product essentially. So we took, some of the biggest problems that our audience had, mainly editing. The technical. You can imagine you've probably got this experience, Ross, of editing and having to learn to be an audio engineer almost to
Yeah,
edit your audio
early
podcast.
days were very, very tough. I mean, I literally would go through almost by hand, just listening right back way, all the way through the recording and trying to take little things out, and then you start to get a bit, I guess, a bit more sophisticated about how you improve the audio.
Yeah, yeah. Well, do you know, the thing is, like most of the people that we talk to, most podcasters actually, they don't want to get good at that bit. They don't want to be an audio engineer. They just want to talk.
No,
So
oh,
actually,
definitely not.
yeah, totally. So the goal behind the software we built was to take away all of that tech, like to automate all of the audio cleanup, to automate a lot of the editing, like putting in music and transitions and all that kind of stuff, to tie in the call recording, so you don't even have to worry about downloading files, transferring them, all that kind of stuff. You just record, you get the cleanup, you get the audio editing, and you get the hosting in one place. So the goal is for it to be like an all-in-one, easiest way to make your podcast. Yeah.
And what have been the sort of highs and lows of setting up the business call? I mean, obviously, I'm sure it gives you great pleasure that you've got all these people using your technology and making it easier to get in through that barrier to you're getting their content out. But what are the highs and lows that you've faced along the way?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's been a bunch of highs. I've been so lucky along the way in terms of, I mean, just getting to do this as a job, really, to make podcasts, to make content, to do video, to get to write. Like, I mean, my job is basically mixed between writing articles on stuff that I love to write about, making videos on bits of gear, recording a podcast with friends or people that I really want to talk to, like just like us to chatting away here. So I mean, there's so many highs in that, and the fact that we were lucky enough to be again right time, right place, maybe a tiny bit of skill. I hope that the site did really well and the company did really well through like 2010 to into the 2020s. In terms of lows, like the last few years, honestly, have been quite tough. Like so much changes in terms of content, like particularly with the kind of incoming AI and stuff. Like AI is kind of changing so much in how content is created, how content is consumed. Video as well, like the massive rise of video has made podcasting a lot more complicated. In that a lot of people want to add video to their podcasting, even if it doesn't necessarily work that well for a lot of people. It's so much more work as well. So trying to help people with that side of things, both from our software, like adding video into Alitu, but also adding video into our coaching without overwhelming people, that's been really tough as well. And just actually the general slowdown, like the economy being pretty tough between sort of COVID and beyond, COVID and now, it's been tougher to find like growth to persuade people to actually, that it's worth signing up for the tools and the coaching and stuff like that we do. So, I mean, we're still doing well, we're still growing and stuff like that, but it's definitely been tougher in the last few years than it was the first 10 to 12.
And what would you say in terms of time that people put in? Say, let's for example say that we talk for half an hour, 45 minutes today. What would a typical brand new podcaster have to do in terms of time to get that content out? What's the sort of the time frames that they're working with usually?
Yeah, the hope is the advice I give people, and when we do coach people, or people that join our academy or do coaching or whatever, what I try to get them to the point of is recording time times 2 max. So let's say you do a half-hour podcast. You should be editing that in about half an hour. So the whole process should only take you maybe twice the time of recording. So 30-minute podcast should hopefully take an hour to get out there. And there's a lot around kind of getting rid of the perfectionism. So you're not editing out every and ah, you're not editing out every little mistake, because podcasting is actually a medium of transparency and honesty and openness and quite lo-fi. Like, people want to hear the human. They don't want you totally sanitized, all the little sounds and everything taken out. So there's a bit of that. There's a bit of using tools as well. So like things like Alitu, or there's plenty of other alternatives too, like to do your audio processing, like to take out the noise, all that kind of stuff, like noise reduction automatically. So using the tools that's available. Adding in the music and the transitions automatically, that kind of stuff too. So there's a bit of tools, a bit of kind of the mindset around perfectionism, stuff like that. Once we get through all of that, then that helps them cut it down to, just spending the same amount of time it takes to record to get it out there. And then a lot of it's around the workflow as well, like just making it a routine. You do the same thing every week to make it consistent. And therefore you have this process, you have this system, this tick list that you work through every single week. That helps you make it nice and easy and quick as well.
Absolutely. And it'd be great if golf was as easy as that as well.
Exactly.
Getting into a simple process. So just go back to the golf, Colin. Where do you play today?
I play in Inverness, so Inverness Golf Club in the centre. But honestly, I play probably more often elsewhere, just because I've got friends around the country that play quite a lot. And so I more often not go and just visit people and get the chance to play there. And I play my back garden too, so I've got a wee setup, a net setup in the back garden with a wee shot tracker as well. So I play a bit of a mix, really. But yeah, that's the golf club that I'm a member of, certainly.
Brilliant. And then when you're going away, you said playing with friends, but do you go and play open competitions or anything like that, or other courses?
Do you know what? I need to do more of that. I only just got my handicap back, actually, just about only about 3 months ago, actually. So the first half of this year was just getting a bit of practice in and then getting the rounds in from a handicap, because I only really took it up again last year.
Right.
So yeah, I played all the way through, like I said, childhood up till I was maybe 18 to 20. And I basically just threw it away when I went to university. Didn't really do any at all after that. I played a wee bit in my 30s when my brother was living in the same city as me, and another friend played a bit. We went and did a 9-hole round maybe once every couple of weeks just to meet up. But yeah, I kind of got the bug again about a year ago now, January last year. And since then, like, been kind of deep back into it, like try to get, I don't know, I've got a goal of trying to get good at this point. I never got that good when I was a kid. I want to try and get like competent this time round.
So what's your rating on competent? What's your handicap at the moment, Colin, now you're back and playing?
So I've started at 30. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty high at the moment.
Must be breaking 100 though. That's good.
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm usually about sort of, 100-ish at the moment. So yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I've got my kind of state of play at the moment is, because I have that background as a kid, I know how to swing a club. I look like I know what I'm doing, and I can hit a really nice shot 1 in 3. But then the other 2 are just like off into the trees. So I'll do like trees out, and then I'll like chip to 2 foot or something like that. Like, it's like, So occasionally I can look like I know what I'm doing, but most of the time I just screw it up.
And you're in great golfing country, and we were talking just before the podcast started that the irony here is you live in Inverness, and I literally started listening to your show when I was driving to Dornoch earlier in the year, and you've got plenty of golf around you.
There is, yeah. Split for choice, really. Like I was up at Dornoch actually playing a few weeks back, not the championship course, but the Strui. The Strui's really nice as well, actually.
Brilliant, yeah, it's fantastic golf course.
Yeah. Were you playing the championship course when you were up there?
Yeah, I played Strui in the championship. I was very lucky, and played Castle Stewart and Broda as well.
Oh, nice, yeah. Castle Stewart is not that far from me. I'd love to go and play there soon, actually. Luckily enough, they have a deal whereby if you live in our area, you get it for quite cheap as long as you can't really book ahead, but you get well, not cheap exactly, like 100 quid, but it's like less than the 300 odd.
It's a brilliant course,
yeah.
and actually Dunbarney links to the same offer for Fife residents as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely worthwhile getting along. We need to get you out to Brora and those places and enjoying them as well.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. Yeah, where do you play most of your golf?
I live in England now, so I'm down by, I play near Reading at a course called Oakfield.
Okay.
But I've been back up a couple of times this year to Scotland, and I think that's one of the things that I really miss is the golf courses and the access and just the price of golf in Scotland. I know that the large courses and championship courses are getting very, very expensive now, and you could be paying £400 a round. But if you go for really, really good quality golf courses in Scotland, you can still get on for like 40, 50, £60, and you can go and play one of those opens I was mentioning for 15, 20, £25. I mean, it really is a steal.
That's it. Yeah, that was a big goal behind getting my handicap back this year, was really to start going along to the opens. And I'm still kind of on that nervous phase where I'm still hitting quite a bit too many off to the side, and I just it's that stage. It's just I need to get over those nerves though. Like everyone does that. Even when you're down at 10, 15 handicap, you're still knocking one of the trees every now and again. So
listen, even pros. I was listening to it's called Life on Tour podcast from the European Tour last week, and a guy who's just retired from the tour, Michael, I think his name's Lorenzo Vera, and he was talking about standing in the first tee at Wentworth. Bearing in mind this guy's almost won tour events, and he said he can't see anything apart from the out of bounds on the left. And he said he's been that way for 15 years, really? And that's ultimately what's caught up with him and caused him to give up the game. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's mental. Aye. Yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, that's the goal. So yeah, I'd love to go. I'd play the Open at Nairn. Nairn is one I've not played yet, actually. Really good course, I hear. So I'd love to go and do the Open there. But yeah, there's tons of others around. Yeah, so that'd be good.
I'd like to thank Oliver Wilson and True Links Wear UK for sponsoring the show. Let's hear from Ollie now.
The OG3 Pro is the natural evolution of the OG range. We have a wide toe box that allows your foot to work naturally in your toes display. We have a cushioned zero drop platform. It's flexible, minimalist to allow you to feel the ground, waterproof, and an aggressive, spikeless outsole. And of course, it's tour tested.
So, talking of future goals, what about future goals for Alitu and the podcast host?
Yeah, with work, I mean, we've got a video coming in, so we're integrating that. We're going to give the full video workflow for people who want to make a good video podcast. We're bringing in a AI assistant at the moment. Actually, we're building you can't beat AI, so you got to join it. So we're building though what we think is a really good take on what will be an assistant that will help people create better, more effective content in future with their own voice, actually not taking the human out of it. So looking at your back catalogue, how many episodes have you recorded now, Ross, out of interest?
I've got 60 in total. This is the 61st.
So that's such a resource, isn't it? 60 episodes, probably 30 to 60 minutes each. So how much content is that? That's so much content. So that's such a resource for you to dig into, if you have assistants, to look through those transcripts to find some great clips, to find some great trends, go back and recap some of that stuff, to draw your voice and actually find the gaps, all that kind of stuff. We're looking at building an AI assistant that helps you do that kind of thing and plan future episodes and make best use of your back catalogue, amongst a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So that's kind of what we're working on just now, is how to use that to make better human content, really, not to replace us, but to actually help us do a whole lot more. So that's the goal over the next year or so.
Brilliant. And then outside of that, what do you find that's exciting that you think is going to be in the future of podcasting? Where do you see it going?
I mean, do you know what? I usually have that's a really common question on an interview. It's a great question. And I usually have some good answers to that, but I'm finding myself this year literally saying I have no bloody idea. Right now things are about as uncertain in the world of content and media, probably the world, honestly, but particularly in our area, content and media, as they have ever been. Things are changing so quickly with the advent, with how AI is coming into people's workflows and process. I mean, I think the thing that we know, the thing that I would hope optimistically is that it helps us. The big change will be that everyone will have to integrate AI into their workflow if they want to keep up and they want to, be able to make the most of this, and it'll be able to help them do more, better. It's an assistant. It's like having another team member or dozens of team members. So that's a big part of it, is being able to learning how to bring in that tool to your workflow in a good way that doesn't lose your voice, because that's the hard part. Like, some people are using it for scripting, for voiceovers, for things like that, and it takes away your voice from it. It takes away your uniqueness from it. So figuring out how to use the new AI tools that are all around us to amplify what we do and improve what we do, that's the problem. That's the tricky, puzzle that we have. But I see ways to do it. We're doing a lot of that right now. We use it a lot in our workflows as well. Is it something you're bringing in, Ross? Are you using much in the way of AI for your show?
Yeah, certainly in terms of putting, because I don't know if it's a good practice or not, but every episode, even at the start, and I would do it by hand originally, I would write like a guide out for the person from, I guess, their perspective, so they can see the types of things I'm going to ask. Mm-hmm. And as we're talking, I've got it up to the side, Colin. I spoke about that before we started. And I don't use it like a strict script. It's just some ideas. It gives me an idea of timing, what kind of questions we can get back to, what the flow of it is. So I use AI for that. And then I use it for the intro and outro just to give the summary. I don't know if that's a great practice or not, but I take the transcript, put it into AI, ChatGPT, ask it to create me a summary of the conversation based on a template that I've got from before. And that is a huge time saver. Now, whether that's creating great content is up to the listener to judge, but it certainly saved me a huge amount of time. So I think those are the parts that are really been the best ones so far. Where I haven't been able to do much yet from a technology perspective is just changing the editing and really improving the editing flow, because that does take a lot of time. And then there's a huge opportunity, I think, for me personally and probably other people on creating social media content, because I'm finding now that I'm actually getting more engagement away from the podcast, but around the podcast. So the people have been on, my own sort of silly videos, if you like, that I put out, I'm getting really good engagement there. So yeah, I think AI can definitely help people. And at worst, they could get a ChatGPT login for free and just try and see how they go on. As you say, You don't want to have it taken over, but at least it can take over some of that manual effort.
Yeah, no, you're doing the right thing there. That's kind of one of the most obvious and best ways, is like creating that written content, because we do talk, we do audio. It's not necessarily the skill of a podcaster to write something, and actually, you don't lose that voice necessarily as long as you give a decent prompt. When processing a transcript, you don't necessarily lose the voice of the transcript. You can say things like, please keep the same terminology, please keep the same, tone of voice, the same, use the same words, the type of words I use in this transcript, because that reflects your voice. That is literally your voice. So if you create a summary from that, it can be really useful, yeah.
And I think it's interesting in terms of AI, people might sort of take the first response from ChatGPT or whatever platform as being the one they're going to use. I would say just challenge that and actually challenge the AI and literally tell it, look, that wasn't a great answer. Can you give me something else? And the other thing that I'll do, if it goes off base from what I'm thinking about, I'll just give it that thought. And I guess I've got a pretty good background in technology. I did some programming in the early days, probably quite badly. But just think about and you don't need to be a programmer to do that. It's literally what is in your mind. Type that as a thought to ChatGPT and say, look, the first part of this content you've created is great, but you've lost the thread later on. And it will interpret that and then make the change for you. Then perhaps there might be a little bit of manual cleanup, but you've saved so much time for yourself that it's a real game changer from that point of view.
Yeah, we often use it. It's a great first draft. It gets rid of the blank empty page. It saves like 2/3 of the time. You do an edit at the end for sure, just to make sure. The one thing I'm doing as well, just relating to that, is every time it does make a mistake, I'll ask it at the end. Like once we've managed to have a conversation back and forth to get it the way I want, I say, how would you change my initial prompt to include this new guidance? And it'll actually create a prompt for itself that includes little rules based on the things that you guided it on. And then that's what you save and use the next time around. And every time you do it, you sculpt that. Like you add something else, you add another little bit of guidance that really refines it. And then by, 5 or 10 times down the line, you're, it's near perfect. It's doing exactly what you want. So, yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is the last time I used ChatGPT related to the podcast, I had a bit of context from before, and I literally just asked it to create the next show guide, not for this one, but for a different show coming up. And it basically followed everything for me, and it said at the end, do you want me to do the intro and outro as well in the same type of format as before?
Yeah.
I'm like, fantastic, we're making it. We've cracked it now.
Yeah.
So,
do you have, sorry, I was just going to say, I've started to bring it in, actually. I've been playing around with some golf content as well, obviously.
Okay,
I'm a content nerd, so as soon as I take something up, I can't help but try and create some content out of it. So I'm just recording a lot of stuff either in my back garden, like with the shot tracer and doing the practice stuff, or out in the course, like playing around with cameras and different angles and different ways of putting it together. And I've been using AI a fair bit to kind of play around with that, actually, like some auto edit stuff, but also just actually ideas, like bouncing around ideas and saying, right, here's what I'm thinking about in a golf channel. I want it to stand out though. I want it to have a unique angle. Like, give me some ideas. Like, here's some things I'm thinking about. Bounce this around with me. And it's a great thinking partner, actually, coming up with little ideas of what you could add to the, when I'm out in the course, a different angle to shoot or a different thing to kind of mention that isn't necessarily as common in a golf channel, that kind of stuff. So it's been good fun as well, actually.
Yeah, so one of the guests who's been on the show, Chris Bell, he does a huge amount of social media content. He's a professional who played at my own club in Motherwell and moved to Kansas. And he started putting on a body cam. And I'm sure lots of people have used body cams, right? But he started using it and bringing it in his content. He's amazing with drones, and that's for he always has a drone chasing his car. But I thought the body cam content was really kind of eye-catching just because it's different, because you're so used to that down the line view, which for people don't really know. If you're looking at a golfer, that's when they're swinging back and you see the ball going down the line. And then you would also see the front on view as well, where you're looking at a golfer basically face on with the golf club in their hands. So I thought it was pretty interesting seeing that. And the angles look really weird. Even though you're used to looking down at a golf ball, it's really strange seeing it in video.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, that's good. I was, funnily enough, looking at a camera earlier on today. I think I'm going to grab, which is the DJI Osmo Mini, I think it's called, and it's designed for that kind of thing. It's designed for POV, point of view type camera stuff, where you can really easily. It's got a magnet on the back, just like the new sort of phase of wireless mics. So you can attach it to your shirt really easily. You can attach it to a headband really easily. So it gives you that more point of view type stuff really easily. But it can also magnetize to anything. So you could stick it to whatever in front of you and be able to get a good shot of you swinging your club really easily, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's an excuse to buy some new toys, really.
Absolutely. So we've talked about courses, Colin. What's your favourite course you've ever played? I know there's lots of really good courses in Scotland, but what's your favourite?
Oh, good question. I mean, one of the things that I'm very fortunate with is, like I said, my dad's been so deep in the industry for so long that he has all these contacts that. So right now, I regret not taking more advantage of that when he was deeper in it, like in my last 20 years, actually. But now my brother and I have been going on trips with him and playing a lot of good stuff. We played Old Prestwick last year. And do you know what? We grew up in Prestwick. We walked past that course. We walked over that course so many times. And I'd never played it. But that course actually has stood out in the last couple of years as one of the best I've played. It's just spectacular. It's just so different. Some of the holes, the size of the bunkers in some of the holes, these massive log sleeper walls, and the way there's just so many of these really unique features. And then just the design of the course as well. I know a lot of people say it's amazing to play the old course, for example, like St Andrews Old Course, but actually it's quite an old course, as the name suggests, and therefore it's not necessarily the most engaging play. Actually, it's more just kind of something you want to play because it's the old course. Whereas Old Prestwick is this course that was designed back in those days, but it's still a really fun play. It's a really interesting play as well. So that definitely stands out to me over the last couple of years for sure. Yeah,
brilliant. Any podcasts that shape your thinking? Any podcasts that you follow that you really enjoy?
Oh, loads. Do you know the podcasts that I enjoy most are generally like people ask. This is another good question, but one I sometimes find hard to answer because the shows I like most are actually all really small, really specific, quite weird and wonderful type things. Most of them are actually people like me, like running little businesses, talking to an audience of maybe 500 people max about just what they're doing in their day to day. For example, there's a guy called Craig Hewitt, who I know really well, good friends with now. He's in the industry as well. He runs a show called Rogue Startups. And often it's just him talking for 10 minutes about something he's done this week in his company. And it's really interesting to me because he's basically doing the same thing I am, working on the same kind of stuff, going through the same kind of problems. So I always search out. So I listen to a few shows like that, a bunch of shows like that. And if I'm ever looking for new stuff, I often just search out things like that, as in, what am I thinking about just now? What problems am I experiencing just now? Can I find some like little show that is just like deep in that as well that I can learn from?
Fantastic. And then a course that you really want to play, Colin, where would you really like to play next?
Well, I don't want to. I'm in a fortunate position again where my dad's taking me. We're playing Royal Birkdale next week.
Oh, fantastic. Wow.
So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got a trip down there. So we've got a tea time booked on there because my dad had a contact that managed to get us on. And we're playing Royal Liverpool at the same time. So we're playing Royal Liverpool and then Birkdale. So that is like a pretty bucket list couple of courses to play, really. So I'm so looking forward to that. Yeah, really lucky to get to do that.
And Birkdale's just gone through a huge transformation as well.
Is it really?
Next year? Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Sorry, I did see some. There's been like debate around creating new practice facilities and all that kind of stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what was the kind of controversy around that? Were a lot of the members not wanting that kind of development?
I guess it's always difficult when you've got a course of that kind of stature. You've got history. It's always been this way. So yeah, I'm sure it's a storm in a teacup, and hopefully the course changes and all the setup will be really well received at the Open. I'm sure it will. And most of the changes you see at these big places. Look at Royal Portrush. I didn't know that Royal Portrush until one of my guests I had on had told me that actually the 17th and 18th came from the other course, the Valley course. So
okay,
yeah, for the Open they used the two holes for the Valley course, which I found fascinating.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's change isn't always a good thing, but sometimes it is a good thing in a course to see that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you've got that kind of that balance, don't you, between the history, the provenance of everything that's come before, but also just keeping up with what could make it even better. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Cool. But yeah, I can't wait for that next week. Yeah. What about yourself? You got any on the upcoming goals as well?
Oh, in terms of upcoming goals, I've got a significant milestone next year, so I turn 50 next summer.
Mm-hmm.
And the Senior Open qualifying is a week after my birthday, so I can enter when I'm not 50, and then I'll be 50 for the Open, Senior Open qualifying. I've got a couple of hurdles to jump before then. I need to get back down to scratch, so I'm currently playing off 2. I'm being frustrated at not getting back down to scratch, so I need to clear that one. Yeah. And then, of course, enter, hopefully. And just a small matter of shooting 3 or 4 under par at a local qualifying venue, we'll be there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
small matter.
It's something that it's not for me necessarily about qualifying. I think it's just having that dream that keeps you going. Yeah. It's something that brings you energy, gives you enthusiasm, gives you a goal to head towards, even if you don't get there. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to taking that one on and first of all getting to scratch again.
That's amazing. Yeah, that'd be some experience getting to play in. Even the qualifiers for sure. That must be something to experience for sure.
Absolutely. So, Colin, just wrapping up here. Thanks so much for your time. Any final reflections and advice for people that are looking to get into podcasting and what they can do in terms of steps to take?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if anyone's out there listening, yeah, if you're out there, you think you've got a topic you could cover, whether it's golf or whether it's something else. Like a lot of people run shows related to their hobbies, golf or otherwise, but also shows to help promote your own business or to grow your own personal brand and whatever role you have at the company you work at, that kind of thing. The best thing to do is really just to find an angle on that topic that you have. What's your unique take on that thing? Maybe it's something around your history, the background, how you got into it. Maybe it is a wee niche of it. So like a couple of examples, like my kind of take on podcasting is really informed by my teaching. So Podcraft was kind of created as almost a lesson format back in the day. And a lot of the content we create is like we put in homework and structure and all this kind of stuff because I'm a teacher and that's kind of part of what I do. But equally, you could also take a part of it. So we could do like it's only growth for podcasting, or maybe it's just podcasting for business or something like that. So if you fancy doing a podcast, a great way to start is to really drill down to something quite specific, whether, like I say, it's that niche or it's an angle or maybe it's just a different format that you haven't seen in your area, and just play around with it. Just get started. Keep it super simple in the early days. Even just record on your phone, whatever it might be, like talking into the mic on your phone, into the dictation app. And then you can upload that. There's free hosting platforms out there. There's the one we run. It's a paid one, but it's like, yeah, so there's loads of different options that you can use to get started. But most of it is, every successful podcast has pretty much started in a terrible place, been rubbish to begin with, and then experimented over 10, 20, 30 episodes to find its place, to find its voice, to find its quality, and grow from there.
That's brilliant. Great advice, Colin. And then just wrapping up, in terms of people looking to get in contact with you, Colin, where can they find you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if it's for the podcast and stuff, you'll find us over at thepodcasthost.com. That's the website. And all our social medias and stuff are on there. But yeah, if you want to send any golf stuff, I'm over at, what is I've put the name Golfin McGray. So I play on my name. So Golfin McGray with a FIN at the end of the Golfin. So you'll find me as that name on Instagram and YouTube for my golfing content just now that I'm just playing around with. But that's definitely early stage. I'm just messing around with that. But yeah, I'm having fun playing with something new.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining, Colin. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get a game at some point in the future. You never know.
Absolutely. Yeah, next time you're on the way up to Dornoch. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd like to be doing that anyway.
Great stuff. Thanks for us.
Cheers. Big thanks to Colin Gray for joining me on the show. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, hearing about his journey in golf and how the lessons from podcasting and community building connect so naturally with the game we love. Be sure to check out Colin's work at Alitu, the all-in-one podcast maker, and at thepodcasthost.com, where you'll find a wealth of resources for creators. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend and leave a review. It really helps more people discover the show. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at LinkByGolf2024 for updates and behind-the-scenes content. I'm Ross McGuire. Thanks for listening.
Lomond Golf Tours have helped thousands of guests build bespoke golf trips to create a magical experience. Travel in style with our executive chauffeur travel, whether it's golf on a major championship venue or one of our hidden gems, 5-star accommodation or a boutique bed and breakfast, or is it whiskey tasting on a private boat? Lomond Golf Tours are here to help build the tour of a lifetime. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or ticking it off your bucket list, embark on a trip that you'll remember forever. To learn more about our offerings for 2025 and beyond, visit www.lomondgolftours.com.